Alright, welcome to Coffee and Contemplation, episode 3. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for the feedback. It's been really good so far. I appreciate you guys listening. Got a little hate for the kombucha last time. Understandable. There's been like this unhealthy balance between the contemplation and the coffee. So we're going to get back to the coffee today. I just use this AeroPress. If you guys don't know what that is, I'll look it up. It's pretty sweet. Better than like a K-cup, which I would normally do. Still just using like standard giant coffee though. So I know we need to get better with that, I think. Today I kind of want to talk about how everything that you consume and kind of let into your space matters. And I don't think people really do the work to get the self-awareness to realize that. And it's kind of like a passion of mine to, help people find that space in themselves where they're kind of this witness. When I used to work for a company called Exos, they're a sports performance company, I worked in corporate fitness side with them, and their 4 pillars are mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery. So I would get a client and they would come in and we would sit down and we would kind of just get to dig in and talk about all these different areas of their lives. And a common theme is obviously exercise matters, obviously nutrition matters, but a lot of times I was realizing that just the amount of like stress these people have in their work environment, how stressed out they were about their jobs and different projects and things they needed to get done. And then you gain relationships with these people and you realize some of them have like very toxic personal relationships that maybe they need to set boundaries around. And it's like, wow, like that is the most unhealthy stuff. If you can't be calm in the present moment, that is just gonna create so many issues for you. So it doesn't necessarily matter what you're eating or what your exercise routine's like. It does, but if you can't calm yourself down, people live to be 100 years old and they smoke cigarettes and drink whiskey every night. Smoke a cigarette, drink some whiskey. I'm obviously not promoting that, but if that's how you calm yourself down at the end of the day, if that's how you relax, I'm starting to believe that that is the most important thing about your health. Is, can you be calm, can you be at peace, or are you chronically stressed out about every little thing? So just to do a little background, like neuroanatomy type physiology thing, you have an autonomic nervous system, so that means you don't have control over this, but it's sympathetic, so it's fight, flight, or freeze, or it's parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. Animals in the wild, when they encounter a threat, they will have a ramp up in their sympathetic nervous system, and it's going to be a fight, flight, or freeze. They'll actually play dead. When the threat leaves, though, they can downregulate. They can rest, they can digest, and when they downregulate, if they were in that frozen state, they will actually have like almost like a seizure to release all the pent-up, stuck energy that was, there from that freeze. Human beings, we're aware of the future, and we don't have threats nowadays that are very like in the moment. Like not a lot of times you're in a situation that's truly life and death. Your life and death might be your stress response, at least like your sympathetic fight or flight might get switched on by, I have this project due next week and I need to get it done. But when does that threat go away? It doesn't. Next week comes and there's something else to worry about. So we're constantly chasing this thing of like, how do we allow ourselves to calm down? How do we release that energy? I think that's where muscle tension comes from. And why people are so tight in this is because they're always in a little bit of that freeze state. We're never truly allowed to release all that pent-up energy that we have when we're experiencing this stress. So everything that you take in matters. Everything that you allow in your space, because you can eat right and work out, but if you go home and you're in a relationship that's horrible and you can't calm yourself down, how does that work? If your body doesn't feel safe and it's in this sympathetic state, it's just going to increase cortisol, and then chronic cortisol is going to lead to so many diseases and things down the road. Acutely it's good, but it shouldn't stick around for extended periods of time, and I think it does right now. So like what is the answer? And I think a lot of it comes down to like self-awareness. And that's why I'm like big on meditation, because it brings it down to meditation is basically just singleness of focus. You're just going to focus on one thing. And a lot of times people use the breath as an object of that. And I think people get confused because then they're like sitting down there trying to breathe and stuff like that. But I like the way Sam Harris does it in his app, because the breath is an autonomic response. Your job in meditation is to get behind that and just kind of watch it. Like your job is to be this witness to things that are coming and going. So if you just sit there and watch, your breath will come and go. You don't have to do anything. It'll show up and it'll leave. Same with sounds in your environment. They'll show up and they'll leave. If you have your eyes open, lights are flat, going in different ways or whatever, the shadows of this. You're just kind of just becoming this witness and watching things come and go. I'm also a big fan of the float tank for that, because now you're taking all that stuff away and it's just your thoughts. So if you can get behind, and now you can kind of get into this space where it's empty, and then you can just watch your thoughts come and go. That's amazing. I think that's a superpower, is being able to get behind your thoughts and not get trapped in rabbit holes of stress and this, because we'll create stories in our head. Like, I have a test at the end of July that I need to take. If I can't get behind my thoughts and get back to the present moment, that is a constant threat to me until I take that test. So what, I have 2 months of being stressed out over this? It's like I need to find ways to get behind that and calm myself down this second. And I think if you're able to do that, I think you can change your life in so many different ways, so many positive ways. Because when you leave a float tank and you get in that space, then you start to realize how things affect you. Because, okay, I'm in the float tank, I leave. I grab my phone and I have 6 text messages, an email I gotta do, and I'm immediately stressed and worried. And it's like, whoa, like, wait a minute, I was just in this space where I was focused on one thing, I was calm, and now this just like triggered all this in me. Or I go home and, you know, I run into someone and wow, they like really like put me in a weird mood or something like that. And it's not necessarily like blaming other people. Like, this is like an extreme ownership thing. It's up to you. You control your thoughts, your feelings, how you direct your body. And I think, you know, realizing that your triggers and those things, that's not those other people. That's kind of your stuff to kind of sit with and deal with, and maybe set boundaries around or whatever. But once you gain that self-awareness, you can start to realize that everything in your environment matters. And that can be daunting, but it can also be empowering as well, because you are in control. You are in control. So, you know, once you get in this space, so okay, what matters? Obviously, the food that you bring into your body matters. So I just think everyone should be eating real food. Like, people ask nutrition questions. If it's real food and it comes from the earth, eat it. Like that I don't care what it is. Just if it comes from the earth, if it's an animal, a plant, whatever. The news that you take in, I think this is such a big one nowadays. Like, people are just constantly watching the news, like my parents and stuff like that. And it's just fear-mongering and negative, and that like warps your mind in a certain direction, and I don't think it's healthy. Like, I think it's good to be informed, to be vigilant, to know what's going on in the world, but at a certain point, I can't take in all that. It's not healthy for me. I don't have control over it. So that's a mantra of mine. I control what I can control in my environment, in my mindset. So I think that's a huge thing. Same with music. If I wake up in the morning and I'm listening to some sad ass music all day, is my mood going to be more sad? Probably. So even that matters. And we do these things unconsciously. You get up, you toss on like Spotify or something. It's like, that's setting you up to have a certain like mood for the day. We now know the light that you take in matters. Blue light, if you're taking in a lot of blue light at night, you're not going to secrete melatonin. You're not going to get a great night's sleep. So if you said that 10, 20 years ago, that the light that you bring into your environment matters, people are like, what are you talking about? And still, it's like, what are you even talking about? But now we even know that red and near infrared light have healing properties. So the light that you bring in matters. So what I'm basically trying to say here is that if you're living a life that necessarily isn't ideal, if you're not happy or satisfied in any sort of way, you're in control. You need to find this self-awareness that I talk about, maybe through meditation. Become this witness, get behind your thoughts, your feelings, and just watch things come and go, and then see how things are influencing you, and then make the necessary changes, because you are in control. And a lot of times I feel like when you get to that space, things will start to just flow for you, and you'll just notice things kind of showing up for you, and just kind of living life and not in this caught in my thoughts, stressed out, worried mindset, but more of like an abundance flow. Things are just working out and you're not really forcing them. They're just happening. Like the best things in my life, and when I talk to people, the best things in your life kind of just happen. You know, you have goals and intentions, but a lot of times things will just come in and work out in a certain way, and who knows why that happens. And that's kind of like a spiritual thing that I have come to be fascinated with, is like things just kind of show up in my life, like these little synchronicities, and things just work out if you're in that, if you kind of bring your head up and can be in the present. But if your head's down, constantly worried, constantly stressed, constantly lost in your thoughts, not knowing how to manage it, it can be it can be exhausting, and it can be frustrating, and it can be just not healthy for your body. So a lot of times, what exercise can I do? What like should I be eating? And a lot of times I'm like, okay, well, first off, you need to recognize where you're at, and that's where I always come to the mindset, like mindfulness. Like that is the biggest thing. Are you caught in these patterns in your mind that are just bringing you through loops and negativity and pain and suffering, and how do you get out of that? And you're in control of that 100%, and you just need to be open to doing the work. So hopefully you guys take a little bit of some of that. That's a complicated topic that kind of brings me down so many different rabbit holes, so I hope that wasn't too all over the place. But yeah, I always appreciate you guys listening. We have like one of my favorite quotes ever is from Rumi. He's like another old guy, but he said, "When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of stress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, where I need flows to me and without pain. From this I understand that what I want also wants me, is looking for me and attracting me. There's a great secret here for anyone who can grasp it." And I just think that's such a cool idea, that maybe I don't know what I want in the future exactly, but whatever it is, it's coming towards me as I'm going towards it. So if I can be present and have my head up and just be open-minded, things are coming to me, and they're coming to you too. So just, try to get your head up. And then the little journal thing I wanted to do this week is like, what are you consuming in different areas of your life? What is the motive behind this? Are you consuming things to calm yourself down? That's what addiction is too, real quick. Like, if I'm stressed out and I don't know how to calm myself down, and a lot of times, like, people will eat to calm themselves down, or drink to calm themselves down, or smoke to calm themselves down. It's just to calm yourself down. So if you can replace that with a meditation practice, that's even better. If you could sit down and be like, I'm going to do 10 minutes of just breathing and bring yourself to this peaceful place, I mean, it's better than I'm going to drink myself calm, or I'm going to smoke 10 cigarettes. Like, it's just replacing it. It's learning about how your nervous system works, and calm, and being able to down-regulate to this parasympathetic state. What are you consuming that's making your life better and maybe you need more of, and rejuvenates you? And then what are you consuming that, if you set boundaries around it, it would also improve your life and make it better? And then the second little part is, what shows up when you sit back in your place of patience? Like, I think that's a lot of times people are just forcing things. But if you sit back, what shows up? Maybe live into more of like a flow type thing of like, I'm just going to sit back and just what comes to me, kind of. I don't know. All right. That's episode 3. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Back on the coffee. 3 weeks doing this, and we'll keep at it. Deuces.